Hi, this is Tom Needham, and you are listening to the Sounds Podcast and the Sounds of Film radio show. And today we're thrilled to have on the program two incredible guests, acclaimed filmmaker Dori Berinstein and iconic designer and activist Kenneth Cole. We'll be discussing their powerful new documentary, A Man with Soul, the Impact of Kenneth Cole, which captures Kenneth's extraordinary journey blending fashion and social activism. From his groundbreaking campaigns to the enduring legacy of Kenneth Cole Productions, we're diving deep into how Kenneth's passion for change has transformed both the fashion industry and the world. Dori, Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us today on the Sounds of Film.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, so I really love this film. I had the pleasure of meeting the two of you when this film screened at the Hamptons International Film Festival. And I understand it's also going to be playing at Doc NYC. I watched the film again. I enjoyed it even more the second time. I do have to say, the one thing that's kind of funny is at the Hamptons Film Festival, another big doc playing was the Martha Stewart documentary, and which I enjoyed. But that film's getting a lot of attention because she said some negative comments about the film. She wasn't too pleased with parts of it. I'm not hearing that with this film. It seems like the two of you worked really well together, and I think, Kenneth, you seem pretty happy with this movie. Is that the case?
You know, look, it's very easy to be critical of somebody else's work. I'm in the I'm creative pursuits myself, creative fields myself. So, but I think Dori did a lot with what she had to work with. The considering the subject that was available for her, but I think that it's a tough story to tell, and it's a long story. It's a complicated story, and I think she did a good job at doing it. There's things that maybe I might have done a little bit differently, but I think I think it's a good story.
Well, Dori, tell us
But
a little bit.
maybe I should take Martha's approach and and pan it, and then maybe more people will want to watch it.
That's funny. Yeah, it does get attention. Dori, why did you want to make this film in the first place?
I was so eager to put something out into the world that really was inspiring and would empower people to have purpose in their life and to think about how to make a difference. And I think Kenneth does that so magnificently, both as a designer and as an activist. And I thought the fusion of the two was so fascinating, and I really wanted to bring that story to the world because I personally found it so deeply inspiring.
Well, it is a big story, and there's a lot of parts to this story. I really enjoyed the parts where it shows you can early in your life, even before you got into business, and it shows a side of your character. You tell stories of sneaking into Madison Square Garden and great stories about you starting your business. Why do you think these early stories are important for the viewer to hear as it relates to other parts in the movie, which kind of concentrate a little bit more on your activism?
This was, I guess, more of a Dori question maybe than mine, but I think it speaks to, I guess, my determination, and I have always loved to fuse different aspects of my life, and I believe if you can do that, you create something, a sum greater than its parts. But I loved sports. I also wanted to make money, so I found a way to selling peanuts at Shea Stadium, and at the same time putting money in the bank. I could accomplish multiple objectives, and and as the case with my business today, I infuse philanthropy into business and family into the business, and at the same time, by focusing singularly, I'm actually being effective, across the multiple frontiers, which I think is what most people struggle with, is trying to, how do you, to be successful personally and as well as professionally is very hard, because you invariably have to take from one to apply to the other and make a lot of life compromises. But if you make your community outreach, your philanthropy part of your business, and somehow bring your personal circumstances into it, and maybe you can at the same time address them all simultaneously.
And Dori, how did you find that balance in telling the story? Because there is a lot of information, and you could have gone in a million different directions.
One of the lines that Kenneth says in the film is, I asked him, what do you attribute your success to? And he said that he's always had unreasonable expectations. And I love that line. I thought that was really fantastic. And so whether or not it was as a kid, figuring out how to get his friends into Madison Square Garden, or figuring out how to launch his business when he couldn't afford to rent, get a showroom when they were having a fashion event. He was so scrappy and resourceful and clever, and, came up with ideas that nobody else would think of, and made very unreasonable expectations come to life. And that was a pattern throughout, the 40 years that I was documenting, that I saw over and over again. And it certainly inspired me to pursue unreasonable goals.
Kenneth, I don't know if you can answer this, but myself, in recent years, you were sort of like ahead of the game when it comes to businesses taking on different issues. You were doing it before anyone else, really. Today, there's more corporations who try to do that thing, and again, I'm not sure if I'm the norm or not. You probably have done the research on this, but when major corporations do it, I don't know if I just kind of resist being brainwashed when I see like the same messages in every single ad and in every major corporation. But yet when I watched this film and I saw what you did, I liked it, like more so than I ever did. And I think it had a lot to do with you. But I have to say, just in general in life, like when I see a business person, whether they're on the left or on the right, and they're willing to inject their beliefs into their business, whether I even like the views or not, it just seems then like it's genuine. So I can tolerate it.
So thank you. And it was.
I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
So
Yeah,
thank you, and it is genuine. So thank you. And and I realized early on that in the fashion business you need to be relevant at brand need, and it's very hard to do strictly in through the fashion you bring to the market, because fashion is so subjective and interpretive. So I felt that if I can speak to you about not just what's on your body, but what's on your mind, not just what you stand in, but also what you stand for, then I have such a more meaningful relationship with you. And so I set out to do it. And my first narrative conversation was about HIV, because nobody else wanted to speak about HIV. But we all knew it was on everybody's mind, but on nobody's lips, because of the stigma. If you spoke about it, you were perceived to be at risk of it, which meant you were at probably a member of one of the stigmatized populations, which is an intravenous drug user, a gay man, or a Haitian. So and so that was kind of compelling, and I thought here was an opportunity to say something important that others weren't doing, and I set out to do that. And it was initially a business concept. I thought it was a thoughtful, meaningful business. It was right after there was this whole "We Are the World" Hands Across America thing, and everybody there was this thirst for social impact, and which we hadn't seen since the 60s. So but it was about hunger in Ethiopia, which was not unimportant but so remote. But nobody wanted to talk about it. So we did it, and it was transformative. And all of a sudden everything felt meaningful. And then Amphar asked me to join the board, and then we took on a lot of Amphar's marketing communications and a lot of whatever work we could do for them, we did here at the company. And so everybody here felt they were a part of it. And it wasn't something we did. It became part of who we were, which is a nuance, but it's an important one. And And it was very clear from that point forward that we built a relationship with our customers, not just about what was on their body, but was on their mind, not just what they stood in, but what they stood for. And everything felt more important. And we have a significantly longer retention ratio of all of our associates here than any other company that I know. And I think people appreciate what they do, the part of what they do, and this meaning of what they do. And then I've done a lot of philanthropy, and I've merged the business into the philanthropy with this very clear goals, transparent goals with very clear goals of scaling and of synergy and ultimately of impact, and so which is not very typical of in the philanthropic space. So, and I do think it's a unique proposition, and the fusion and the ability to merge cause and commerce and do it with a genuine allocation commitment of resources and creative, financial, and human resources, and it has worked for us. So, and it's something I love that I could do. It's probably one of the most rewarding aspects of what I've done over the years, and I appreciate Dori helping us tell that story.
I love the part of the story where you go into that you brought your company public, and that was a huge success. But then later on, you decided to make it a private company, and
which was a bigger success.
Yeah, and that's an incredible decision. It's hard to do. Can you explain a little bit about why you made that choice and how it relates to this film?
Well, partially is because I just thought it was something you did. It was kind of, you're climbing a mountain, and you go on, and that's the next peak, and that's the pinnacle of success, is how much value you can aggregate for the underlying business. And so I did it, and it was great for a while, and then all of a sudden it clearly wasn't. We spent most of our time talking about what we were going to talk about, how we were going to explain what we were going to explain, rather than actually working on the business. And then we realized we didn't have to be, and we could in fact become private again. And also at the time, I needed to open stores, and I didn't want to create all that leverage personally. So I was able to do it with shareholder resources. And then it became apparent later on, not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago, that I could be so much more effective if I was not in the public eye, and we could make long-term decisions, not quarter by quarter. And it was very fulfilling. When I was a public company, I would be challenged often at shareholder meetings. How can I allocate resources to social impact? And for example, and I would tell people that it's what I did before I went public. So if you bought the shares, you knew what the company you were buying into, and they would often refer to it as political issues. And I would make very clear that none of our issues are political. And there's a few maybe that slipped through, but 99% were not, and they were public. They were social issues. They were human issues, and many of which have been politicized, but they're not political issues. So, and we've stayed on message, and from before, during, and then since I've been public, that's that's been very important to me and to the brand.
Yeah. And one of the last issues that's focused on in the movie has to do with mental health. And Dori, can you tell me a little bit about what you wanted to highlight as it relates to his work with mental health at the end of this film?
Well, it's one of the main reasons that I really wanted to take on this story, because when I had the opportunity to collaborate with Kenneth's team and Kenneth when I had a show on Broadway called The Prom, and they were a sponsor with us, and really in the trenches, and the work that they did was tremendous, and I saw the authenticity behind their commitment to cause and Kenneth's deep involvement and commitment to cause. And it was at that time that I was just so blown away by everything I was exposed to, but I also had the opportunity to talk with Kenneth about what was on the horizon. And he shared with me that he was really focused on mental health and just felt that this looming issue needed attention, and being able to apply the blueprint from the work he had done on HIV/AIDS and so many other things to the mental health space. It was clear that it was going to be huge and important, and I just wanted to help. I wanted to help amplify that effort and to help support the work that was ahead, but at the same time, be very authentic about the storytelling. And Kenneth will tell you, I pushed him pretty hard for the challenging side and the walls that he hit and all that. But launching such an important initiative just was something that was so thrilling and important, and honored to be able to help tell that story.
Quick question, and I'm not questioning this. I'm just curious the way the two of you decided to do this. I know you were still working on an edit between when you showed it at the Hamptons Film Festival and what the version that's out now. I don't know if you're still doing work or not, but the work you're doing for mental health seems very solid, and it's been really just very well received. It just so happens that at the time when your movie's coming out, Mayor Adams is in a little bit of trouble. I don't know how that's going to play out or not. And I was just wondering, it seems like he's doing good work in this area. Did you have any reservations or not of including him in the movie? Or are you of the mindset that he's doing good work, so he deserves credit for that?
Look, we've gone to Mayor Adams with the idea of bringing together the whole business community, and that creating best practices in the workplace, and that he should lead the chorus, and that he could own this, and it was something that was important to him. So I don't have any regrets at all about what we did. I mean, I wished he'd stayed a little more focused on it going forward. So, but we did it, and I think we brought together and created a lot of energy. 55% of Americans get their health care in the workplace. And you can really, if you can bring all these forces to bear, and you can really affect transformation, I do believe. So I still believe in the idea. We're going forward with it. He actually issued a proclamation on that day declaring the first Tuesday of every December Wellbeing at Work Day. And we are bringing together much of the community, and we are going to put out to the world a lot of resources that'll be available to a lot of corporations and individuals on how they can deal with their individual struggles uniquely. $1 trillion a year is lost to the economy because of depression, stress, and depression, and I think it's 12 billion work days are lost because of mental health related issues. So it is a very real problem. It's a real issue. It's a real opportunity to make an impact that I feel we uniquely can do, which is why we're focused on it.
Well, this film is very inspiring, and Kenneth, your life is very inspiring. What is the number one thing that you're hoping that audiences take away? And I know we have to wrap this up.
I think that that you can make a difference. Everybody, I think it's easier. People have asked me over the years if I've considered running for office, and I tell them I will run from any office you want. And I do believe that if it's about social impact, you can make more of an impact as a private person than you can as a public person. If it's genuine and it's real. And so I had the privilege of doing it, and that's not, I don't have all this oversight and all these forces, to have to navigate as we do what we do. It's the thing that I've done personally that I'm most proud of, and I'm very glad that the story has been somewhat told, and I appreciate Dori's efforts on that behalf.
Very good. And Dori, do you want to say any final words?
Yeah, I think that after 40 years of incredible work that Kenneth has done, he's just since we locked picture, there has been so much going on that, obviously we have to start working right away on the sequel.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much again. I want to highly recommend that everyone check out this movie. And is there a website or anything like that that you want to
Actually,
direct people to?
I'll give you one quick thing. When people ask me if I grew up doing social impact, my answer is no, but I intend to.
That's good. Dori,
Uh,
website or
Will be right now. Everyone should go to the Mental Health Coalition website and sign up and get involved.
all right. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom.